Hey, how's it going? I recently got this Build Pro Stronghand welding table, and I wanted to do a review of it and kind of go over some of the organization I've been doing and see if that can apply to other people out there that have like a job shop or do fabrication, welding and fabrication as a business. So this is a 4x8 Build Pro Max. So the Max essentially means that the slats of the table are a little bit wider. So these are 8, I think, instead of about 6 inches on the typical Build Pro. So there's no gap on this table. So you can't actually put like the ring in there with a larger clamp. So you're kind of just limited to the inserted clamp and just using those 5/8 holes. But this table's been great. I got it maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And actually right when I got it, I did a big job where I did about 20 desks. And this came in handy for sure. So I actually have some video footage of that I want to include in the end of this, this video I'm doing here. So yeah, this table's just been really handy. So next I want to show you some tooling that I also got with the table, and I spent a lot of time organizing this so I can get to it quickly and know where it's at and keep it from getting damaged as well, because this is, I wouldn't call it precision fabrication or precision layout work, but still try to keep things as accurate as you can when you're doing you know, weldments and welding things up. So next let's take a look at some of the accessories I got with the table. Open up this first drawer. So here's some tooling that I got. Luckily I have access to a CNC router, so I routed out this piece of 3/4 inch plywood, and I actually have the same grid pattern of the table, so it's 2 inch on center, 5/8 holes, and then I machine these pins and press those in so they hold some of these. These are some of the square stops, and then these are just the straight stops. So these are really handy for doing setup and fixturing. And at first I thought I was going to have to use 2 drawers for this, but since it all fit in here so nicely, actually there's a lot of room to spare. So these are V-blocks. These are 120 degrees, so anything over, I think it's 2.5 inches. And then these are 90-degree V-blocks, so that's under, I think, 2 inches. And here are some spacers. So use these accompanied with the particular V-block just to space your part off the table a little bit. And I also made these, just turned up some chromoly in the same dimension as this step on these spacers. So if you put the V-block in this this little like ring here, essentially can float this anywhere on the table, so you're not fixed to this pattern. So yeah, so this stuff has been super handy. Some small cams, some of these stops, but essentially I mainly use a lot of these 90-degree stops. This one's pretty heavy. This shows off some of the other tooling. So these are the economy squares, which are really great. They're narrow, so you can get into tighter spots, and they also have a nice slot in the bottom where you can actually move this back and forth a bit for adjustability. So there's some 4-inch, 8-inch, and 12-inch, and the same here. These are the larger blocks. So these are 4x4x4, 4x4x8, 4x4x12. And then these ones also have slots on the bottom. These, I would say, are a little higher quality than the economy squares, so they're more money, but they're much nicer. So I think I want to put one of these on a surface plate and just see how accurate it is to 4 inches, and then I have some pins so we can check the spacing on those holes. Which actually, I mean, I have had no issues lining it up with the table, so I have a feeling these are actually pretty accurate. These are used to like hang to bolt to the side of the table, so you can then have a surface on the edge. And then these are cast iron squares, so it's a left and a right. These are super handy, and then also like weld spatter won't stick to them as much because they're cast iron. So and then you can lay these flat and go in this motion, so those are really handy as well. So next I have is this drawer. So this is some of the hardware to attach the accessories. So I use these a lot. These have like that ball detent, so when you put this into the table, you can tighten them up, and this attaches accessories to tables. So all the accessories is like, I think it's 12 millimeters, so a little under 1/2 inch, and the table's 5/8. So those are real handy. And then I also use I just use like a screwdriver style Allen to attach that, because I don't think you really want to put a lot of pressure on those on these like on the balls there. So this essentially, you just get like maybe, you know, whatever screwdriver torque is, maybe 5 foot-pounds or something,
And then these are to attach to accessory, which I don't really use too much. And then there's some other shoulder screws there to attach hardware. So there's that drawer. And then here's some more accessories. So these are just magnetized, like kind of to hold round stock. And that'll go onto anything. And these go on some of the clamps. These go on the small inserted clamps, the large inserted clamps, and then these are threaded inserts to the table. So I ended up just getting all 1/2 inch 13, but they have a magnet there, and then they lock in on the 2-inch center so they don't rotate. What else do I have? And then these are also like a, I think a 5/8 diameter that would fit into some of the accessories and then some of the clamps. Okay, so then if we go over here, these are some inserted clamps. So I made this rack a while ago when I had these, but I have like a little bit of room to grow here. But these are pretty much as many as I need at the moment. I think to have at least 6 of anything is pretty good. So these are some 6-inch clamps, 8-inch clamps, and then I made these. These are just cut up Harbor Freight clamps that I just ended up welding a stud essentially to the bottom, and those are really handy. And then these are kind of like the vice grip style clamps. So there's some long reach. A couple just average ones, and then these are a little smaller. So these are really handy. I like using these because when they're on the table, you don't end up hitting your wrist. Where on these like inserted clamps, reaching over something to weld around a clamp, it's just a little, you have to kind of navigate that a little bit more. So, all right, let's go take a look at those 4x4 blocks and see how accurate they are. All right, so I have one of these 4x4x4 Build Pro blocks on the surface plate, and I want to check and see how tolerant this is. So I have a 4-inch gauge block here, so I'm going to calibrate the height gauge against this. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's real close on the indicator. I don't know if you can see that or not. So I come over to the block. So we're 5/10 over on that edge. Come over to this edge, and we're about 1/1000 over. So yeah, maybe 1/1000 under there. Not too bad. And then if we come over to this side, let's see what we got. So that's like 2.5 under. That's pretty flat though. So I'm going to check it again and just see what we got. Yeah, the indicator's good. So let me take these pins out. I want to check this surface. So this side is about 1/1000 over. And then this actually has some good taper to it there. Not good taper, but it has a bit of taper. So, well, not too bad. It just drops off over here. So, all in all, I'd call these probably good to 2/1000 of an inch, which for fabrication work is plenty accurate. Okay, so I'm over a bit there. Okay, so there's my 0. Okay, I feel like that's good. So we're going to come down. There's my high. Okay. That's pretty good. So that's 2/1000 again on the indicator. So these holes, but I would say there really isn't that much slop in these pins. There's maybe a little bit. So these might be like 626, 625.5. So that may be where the variance is. But that's still pretty good. 2/1000 over 2 inches there.